This is the story official history tells us. In the late 1800s, there was a tremendous architectural explosion worldwide, with hundreds of massive structures built using horse-drawn carriages, simple cranes, and hand tools. However, when you examine this narrative closely, you clearly notice an unbridgeable gap between it and physical reality. Consider the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago. According to official records, more than 200 massive buildings were constructed on a 600-acre area in just 2 years. These weren't ordinary structures. They were masterpieces with complex domes, majestic columns, detailed ornamentation, and facades with mathematical precision, the kind that modern architects spend years planning. So how did thousands of workers, in that era's technology, no telephones, no internet, no modern cranes, no trucks, work in perfect synchronization to complete this massive project in 2 years? The coordination problem alone is mind-boggling. Different teams, different materials, different building sections, and all of them needing to progress in harmony simultaneously. Even today, such a project requires advanced communication systems, digital planning tools, and logistics networks, yet none of these existed in the 19th century. Moreover, although these buildings were classified as temporary, when you look at the photographs, you see structures that appear as if they've been there for centuries, made of permanent stone and marble, carrying all the elegance of classical architecture. Does it make sense to invest this much effort, this much material, this much perfection for a temporary fair? But the story isn't limited to Chicago alone. During the same period, identical neoclassical structures were rising around the world, from Melbourne to Buenos Aires, from St. Petersburg to Vienna. It's as if the entire world was using the same architectural manual, the same proportions, the same symmetry, the same mathematical precision. It's nearly impossible to explain how an architect in Melbourne created designs so similar to his colleague in Vienna. In an era without global communication, how was this global architectural unity achieved? What we call the blueprint mystery is exactly this, as if they were all following the same master plan. And most astonishing is the speed and quality of these buildings. Today, even with computer-aided design, laser measurement systems, and advanced engineering software, an opera house or major library requires years of planning. Yet in the 19th century, these structures were sometimes completed in months, sometimes in weeks. How? The answer isn't possible with simple tools and horse-drawn carriages. Here's one of the most incredible pieces of evidence: massive airships. Yes, you heard that right. In photographs taken from the 1880s to 1912, we see enormous Zeppelins flying over construction sites, fixed to the tops of buildings. These airships weren't ordinary balloons. They were giant machines serving as aerial cranes, placing architectural pieces weighing tons, domes, bells, stone segments. This technology, clearly visible in photographs, explains how buildings rose so quickly. Because these structures weren't being built brick by brick, stone by stone. They were being produced in prefabricated sections and mounted in place by airships. Imagine walls prepared as complete floors, domes, roofs being lowered from the air and assembled like a puzzle. This method explains both the speed and that mathematical precision. But here's the most intriguing part. After 1912 to 1913, all records, engineering notes, and archives related to this technology are systematically erased, as if someone wants this knowledge to be forgotten, to disappear. Why? The answer to this question may be at the center of the entire mystery. Another striking point is this: perhaps these buildings were never built at all. Perhaps they were simply brought to light. This approach, which we call the restoration theory, suggests that 19th century society didn't actually build their own structures from scratch, but instead restored structures inherited from a previous civilization that had been buried underground after a major disaster, an event called the Mud Flood. Although this theory sounds absurd at first, findings in some cities are quite thought-provoking. Let's take the Jacksonville example. The city, which experienced a major fire in 1901, was rebuilt at record speed. But in excavations after the fire, more than 1,700 ancient structure remains were found that were never mentioned in official records. These structures lie beneath modern Jacksonville as silent witnesses to an unknown past. In Seattle, during the major hill leveling project in 1898, called the Regrade, the smooth stone foundations and highly sophisticated drainage systems that emerged showed the city was built on pre-existing infrastructure. Whose infrastructure was this? Who made this perfect stonework, these advanced water management systems? Official history remains silent. All these findings lead us to an inevitable conclusion. The architectural explosion at the end of the 19th century wasn't the result of simple hand tools and horse-drawn carriages. It was either the result of a lost advanced technology, airships, and prefabricated assembly systems, or the legacy of an ancient civilization unearthed from underground. According to this lost civilization theory called Tartaria, a highly advanced, globally organized society once existed and lived on Earth, and after a major disaster, all its traces were erased and forgotten. 19th century societies were actually discovering this legacy, restoring it, and presenting it as their own work. One of the strongest pieces of evidence supporting this theory is the sudden drop in architectural quality and speed after the 1910s. Buildings constructed after World War I lack the glory of the previous period, are simpler, less detailed, and take much longer to complete. As if that ancient knowledge or technology suddenly disappears. Either it's being forgotten or systematically hidden. Think about it. If such technology or ancient knowledge really exists, why is it being hidden? Who benefits from concealing this knowledge? Perhaps the answer lies in the balance of power. History is always a story written by the victors, and if existing power structures acknowledge that humanity was at a much more advanced level in the past, today's authorities begin to be questioned. People ask, if our ancestors were so advanced, why have we regressed so much? These are dangerous questions because they question the legitimacy of current systems. Perhaps this is why, after 1912, all records were cleaned, archives were rewritten, and the world was made to accept a new narrative. The narrative that we are progressing, the past was primitive. In conclusion, the impossible construction speeds of the late 19th century tell us something important. The official history story has serious gaps. Either that period had much more advanced technologies than we know, such as prefabricated assembly systems working with airships, or an even more interesting possibility, those structures were never built from scratch. They were simply unearthed and restored. In both cases, we face the same question: why was this knowledge hidden? Who or what wanted this technology or this past to be forgotten? Perhaps the answers are hidden in the depths of archives, perhaps among old photographs, perhaps in the questions we dare to ask. One thing is certain: the sudden drop in architectural quality and speed after the 1910s is not a coincidence. It is the strongest sign of systematic forgetting, of the deliberate erasure of ancient knowledge.